Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yours truly is here with my co-host, the infamous Matthew Rosa. I got into basketball again this week, and I know we was talking about it the week prior.
Wow. Now he
Yeah,
watches
I got into.
basketball.
Well, it recaptured my attention again. What I'll say, and my heart. So there's two reasons why I will say really just grabbed my attention this week, which was uh I went to first. I watched the Netflix. I think it's called Gold Rush. I think that's what they named it. Anyways, it's about the USA team from the last Olympics, and I kind of forgot about it. How cold blooded Steph Curry was in that final
He's a
game.
savage, bro.
But I remember arguing with Ori and them, and they were saying like, "Yeah, but if it wasn't for LeBron, he wouldn't have had that stage." It was just one of those. I don't even know how we got to that, but
I mean, come
but
on now.
the game before, Steph had like 19 in the first quarter, and they were struggling to score, bro. So he kept them in there as well. I think it's a team game regardless. I just think
Always is.
it was nice to see some of them players have their moments, right? Because one of the big moments at the beginning of the documentary was Kevin Durant when he came off the bench,
Cooked up.
and he had went like 13 or 13 or something like that.
He's a
Something crazy.
savage. I'm saying just seeing stuff like that really makes you appreciate, hopefully makes you appreciate what we've been able to witness in this era of basketball. Because I know a lot of times, we speak fondly of the Jordan era and it was so competitive. Everybody almost having to go through somebody else, like for Isaiah Thomas, he had to go through Bird, and then Jordan had to go through those Pistons. And some people never made it over the hump, like the Knicks and the Pacers and all those other teams, and like no one liked each other. And it seems like today's NBA, everybody does, but when they get onto that stage and they start playing for their country, it's just everything. It's just like
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about you. I don't give a shit
Yeah,
about you.
that international stage is different.
You ain't repping the flag. You all set.
Yeah. Yeah, and it brings the best out of players. I think it was. I want to say it was KD, but I don't want to misquote him either. But someone was like, "You got tier 3 players like Bogdanovich in the NBA who plays like a tier 1 player when it comes to
For
their
his
country."
country.
I think also it's the setting too because you're in you're now on a team where you're like expected to be tier 1, right? It's almost like what I used to say with LeBron and D Wade, where like D Wade, to me, like he was a tier 1 player, but he took the back seat for LeBron,
Oh yeah.
rightfully so,
Yep.
and he played that role very well. But another reason why I was so much into basketball this week, I went to the ECC championship at Mohegan Sun with Saint Bernard, and they played New London. It was a great game. It was really good to see the community out there showing love and support for the boys out there playing ball. I got to see a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time because I don't be outside like that no more. I just be at my house just enjoying my cigars. But seeing a lot of people from back in the day I went to school with and stuff, that was fun. A lot of my boys, they had kids out there on the court.
Well, I'm glad you're getting into basketball again because I see that Charlotte Hornets hat, and that reminds me of the good old days. CP3, David West. That team was nasty, bro.
Yo, it's crazy. That's who you think of. And to
When I see
me,
that logo,
that team.
that's what I think.
Well,
of.
that team was no. I know. That team was nasty. CP3 was disgusting. David West was nasty. Yeah, I remember when they took. I remember when they had Baron Davis, and Baron Davis knocked the
Baron
Magic out of the
Davis.
playoffs. But no, I was thinking Alonzo Mourning, Grandmama, Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues.
I mean, Larry Johnson, man. I remember him as a Nick.
Yeah.
Even though that's before my time, obviously, but 40-point game, 4-point play. Come on, man. Knicks legend Larry Johnson. He'd be repping the Knicks more anyways.
Yo, so I watched. Here's something else I watched. It was like a YouTube video it was 4 legends for the Golden State because they had the All-Star game at the Bay,
Yep.
which right. So it was Mitch Richmond, Tim
Wow.
Hardaway, Chris Mullin, and who was the other one? Oh, Baron Davis. So they had a 3-point shootout. It would be like a 3-point shootout if I was doing one right now. Like it was,
I mean, they're old now,
They were
man.
walking. There was only 4 racks. Not even. There was 3 racks and then 2 of those one shot money balls from far. But they were just walking. They were walking. It was funny. Chris Mullin ended up winning. I'll
He was
take
a
the
savage, bro.
he still shoots crazy, bro. And what people don't realize, Chris Mullin talks some shit. He was talking shit at the thing. Look, I can't jump. I'm not fast, but I could shoot. Like last thing I knew, that was the most important part of the game.
Nah, he had a bag, bro.
Nah,
Man,
Chris Mullin. People sleep on Chris Mullin. I believe
people sleep
Chris
on all
Mullin
those
was on
Golden
that
State
USA
State.
team, wasn't he? Was he on the Dream Team?
I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah,
Or he,
man. But it brought me back. Those 3 things just last week alone brought me back. Like, damn, I missed this basketball game. And then, especially being at the high school game and seeing them play at that level was just,
I mean,
the memories start kicking in.
so much has been happening in the NBA too this year. I mean,
With like the trades and stuff.
all the trades that happened, obviously Luca.
Yeah.
I mean, something that no one expected. But the more and more we get separated away from the trade and like the shock of it, the more and more it seems like Dallas just wanted no part of them. Which is, I don't even know if there's a precedent cross sport where you see something like this happen. Guaranteed Hall of Famer. I think he's already like a 5-time first team All NBA, and
Yeah,
this
he
is
is.
7th year. I mean, just
Did
I
you
don't
see
think there's a
that?
comp for it, bro.
I don't know if we talked about. I don't think we did because we haven't been talking ball. But there's a conspiracy behind that.
But they didn't want to pay
Which
him the Supermax, so they traded him so they didn't have to pay him to spite him.
Nah, because he's gonna get his money regardless. And that, like you said, you get guaranteed Hall of Famer. Like it was more because this is what I read. Now it's all speculation, I guess.
Oh, I think I
But
know what you're gonna say.
with the owner, did you see
The
it?
casino.
Yeah. So she was like, "All right, yo, I would not put that past anybody, bro."
Oh, the
when it
greed in
comes
this
to
world's
business.
insane, bro. What's happening is pretty much the conspiracies out there is that the new ownership of the Dallas Mavericks, they wanted to put a casino in the current arena in that area, right, to generate more revenue. Dallas was like, nah, you're all set. So they were like, all right, well, we'll just make it shit so unwatchable that people will want us to leave and we can move to Vegas and do whatever the fuck we want, pretty much. So you trade away your cornerstone player, the best player. Potentially, he would have been the best player in their entire franchise history. The only person he was competing with was Dirk at that point.
I know that's tough to say right now.
No,
Dirk
I
had
mean,
one of the most legendary runs of all time, bro.
I mean that was crazy. Luka had him beat. His trajectory outside of winning a championship was gonna surpass Dirk's points, statistically, all NBA teams, all stars. I mean, and he made it to a finals already and lost just like Dirk did. Dirk lost the first one against the Heat. They were making moves. I felt like the Mavericks team this year was better than the team last year. So they had a chance. I mean,
Yeah.
Oklahoma City, but I mean, I would take Dallas over them as they were constructed. So, but I mean,
Yeah, as long as they were all healthy.
I wouldn't
Yeah, I
be
agree with
shocked,
you.
bro. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'd be stunned to see a team leave Dallas just because they have such a huge fan base there. They're represented in every major sport.
Yeah.
And
That's
if
a
that's
good
the
point.
case, I guarantee you, if they leave, because they're talking about getting expansion teams in the NBA again, so Seattle potentially getting the Sonics back. If they leave Dallas, another team's gonna pop up in Dallas. Dallas is not gonna be
for
without a
sure.
team.
Yeah, no, for
That shit
sure.
ain't happening. That ain't happening,
Yeah.
bro.
Nah,
That
for
ain't
sure.
happening.
Like they want to go to Vegas, but we'll see what happens. What I will say too is I didn't know this, but I watched another basketball. It was Skip Bayless talking about Dirk because Dirk was like, he's like crying publicly about losing Luca, but he's like a ambassador for Dallas, so it's like conflicting. And even going into that LA Dallas game, which a lot of people hyped up, I actually didn't watch that game, even though I was tempted to. But
Bro, it was a good game.
Dallas had a lot of injuries too, so
No
they weren't
AD.
really, huh?
No AD.
No, not even just AD. It's the starting center. I
Yeah, no
forgot the other
Lively.
guy's name.
No Lively.
There's
No
two. There's two.
Gafford.
Yeah, no gap. So they went into that game shorthanded.
Yeah,
So
no bigs.
excuse me. I think a healthy Dallas is smacking LA,
You
bro.
know who's getting a real chance though to blossom in Dallas is Max Christie. He's been cooking, bro, ever since he got
Yeah,
traded. Yeah, young
I
Lakers player, second year player, and he wasn't getting a whole lot of burn in LA. Goes to Dallas. I think he's averaging like 19 or something since he's been there.
that's nice. And sometimes that's just what it takes, man. You need those opportunities. You know, they was talking about it in the U.S. Documentary. It's like a lot of, in fact, the last 7 MVPs were all international players.
International.
Um, so what
None
is it
this
gonna
decade.
take? I think we talked about this briefly, like off air once. Was like, what is it gonna take for NBA to like really get up again? And there's
An
not like
American star.
an American star with some
I don't.
buzz.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a LeBron type prospect since they try to hype up Zion, and when he can stay healthy. Like last year, towards the end of last year, he was absolutely
Oh,
cooking, bro.
he was a
He don't.
monster against LA, bro.
They don't. He doesn't get hurt. They're in the playoffs. Do they do
He
anything
was
in
a
the
monster.
playoffs? Who knows? But yeah, he was a monster. He just can't. He can't stay on the court. And then like Ant, he had a rough end of last season in the playoffs.
Yep.
And them trading Cat didn't really make a lot of sense for them. So I mean, there's just not that massive star. I mean, when you think about it, 2 French players went back to back in this year's draft. I mean, it was one of the lesser talented drafts in recent memories, but French players going 1 and 2.
I didn't even know that, bro. To be honest with you,
Risha
did
and
not even
Sar.
know
And neither of them are having massive impacts. But
that.
it just goes to show, number one, the international games getting better and better. That's why, like you said, the Olympics has been so much more enjoyable to watch because it's not just the USA steamrolling everybody anymore.
Mm,
And now it's going to be interesting. You know what I think will generate buzz is because I think this is a problem is that the NBA has clung to its older superstars for too long. Like like LeBron's still the poster child. LeBron, Steph, Kevin
yeah.
Durant, older players in their 40s or late 30s, and that's not to disrespect who they are and what they've done for the game and what they still continue to do. I think I just saw something. Steph had like 9 threes and a half against Orlando, some shit like that, or like early
Tonight?
third tonight. He's cooking,
Oh my goodness.
and they've been on a run since they gotten Jimmy Butler. So that's not to
Yeah.
discredit. That's not to discredit what the legends have done, but we've seen LeBron for what 21, 22 years.
Yeah.
We want a fresh product, man. It is what it is.
Some people do. Some people do. I get it, right? I feel like there hasn't been hype since LeBron, right? And then you kind of had Zion. Zion had a lot of hype. The Wimby hype was real, but
Bro,
obviously
he's
that's
a
not the
savage.
U.S.
Out for the season,
Yeah,
which sucks. But
I missed that excitement of uh like hearing about somebody who's
right,
coming up, and I used to watch a lot of that Baller's Life and stuff where they showed a lot of prospects. I remember watching McClung
Mac
when he
McClung,
was like in
man.
high school when they were showing his highlights. I'm like, damn, this kid could jump out the gym. Um,
3 straight dunk contest wins.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully he does bring it out. That's another thing I watched. Actually, you just reminded me. I watched I think it was the 2017 All Star game. Oh, not All Star game. It's the 3-point shootout, right? I don't know if that's the year. So for that wasn't the year, I'm sorry, but look at this lineup, bro. And I'm Kenny Smith was like, "This is the new dunk contest. This is what everybody came to see on Saturday night. You got the best shooters in the world."
I mean, I don't think he's wrong though. I don't think he's wrong though. Like the way that the game has evolved, and I think that's part of why some of the buzz has been gone is we like to see offense, right? But sometimes it's just too easy, bro. Even in regular games, everybody complains about the All-Star game, whatever, right? That's a whole nother issue to go ahead and fix. But even watching regular games, bro, things just seem so easy. Backdoor
Yeah,
cuts and people just
yeah,
losing people on assignments. And now you're not seeing crazy blocks like how you used to see before. Number one, because you can't really get physical. But two, you got big shooting threes, so there's nobody protecting the rim. So you got like Ant
yeah,
Edwards free lane to the
yeah,
basket. And so that's part of it too. Like I want to see the great part of the greatness of Jordan was the fact that he was cooking people like Gary Payton, right? Who's a great defender. Like he's putting on the moves, people on skates. Same thing with AI, putting people on skates. But it was difficult. I mean, they made it look
yeah,
so easy, but there was
yeah,
people
yeah.
guarding them. People like
And
checking up, pressing up.
there's people in the lane when you get past them
Exactly. Like
because
shit wasn't easy.
they congested the lane. It's funny you said that because I forgot I watched this. I was really into basketball this week. It was on the greatness of T Mac, and obviously Kobe said that was his hardest guard was
T-Mac,
T Mac.
bro.
It was he could do everything. He was 6'9" and he could shoot, he could dribble, all that. And T Mac was like, I would drop 40 and I would drop 40 easy in this day and there. And he was explaining that like he's like, we had the traditional fives and fours when I played. So
Right.
even
Lane was
if I got
crowded.
by my guy, the lane is crowded. It's all congested. Now you got the fives outside shooting threes and
Mm-hmm.
out on the perimeter. You give me a free lane, I'm getting buckets all day.
It's light, bro.
Yeah, so that's a great call out. I think that people forget that even on Gil's show because they mentioned it was Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway was on there, and Tim
Little
Hardaway
crossover.
he's old school, bro. Tim Hardaway is old school. He actually reminds me of your dad a little. And he's like, Brandon Jennings was on there, and he's like, "You too light." He's like, "You get beat up, and if you played in our league." He's like, "You got to understand when we cut, even on defense, if we cut, we're getting elbowed,
Right.
we're taking knees to the thighs. Like it's not. It was a physical game, and I think that's something that we missed too. Because watching the high school game, right? I forgot what kid it was, but when he blocked it, he grabbed it at the same time and came down with it. Like,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Uh, and then like then in each other's face, like clapping it, like that excites me. I don't know if it excites
Nah, that's
everybody,
the
but
tenacity you want, bro. Like you even think about
yeah,
it, if you translate it to other sports like football,
or
yeah,
battle rap.
or battle rap. I'm not gonna get into battle rap, but but I'm talking about football specifically is like, yeah, it's awesome to see the deep ball when it's a busted coverage. But what was more exciting? You have a speedster on a breakaway like Tyreek Hill, who just blew past everybody, or Calvin Johnson jumping up between three defenders because it was
Yeah,
difficult. Like the level of difficulty was crazy about it. Like there's no way he's coming down with the ball, and yet this shit happens. Like that.
yeah,
I think that's what's so incredible. Or like when you see
yeah,
great quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, hit, threading the needle on a pass and not throwing it to wide open guys. Like that. That's the shit that we want to see because when you watch other shit, like man, I could fucking do that.
yeah,
You give me a
yeah,
wide
yeah,
open lane. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to score in an NBA court. I'll probably get my shit packed, to be honest with you. But it doesn't seem as superhuman as what it once used to be. At least for me, that's what
yeah,
it seems like.
yeah, yeah,
Until you
yeah.
see like, Steph goes on a burner and hits like 9 straight threes. You're like, "Oh, that shit is crazy. He ain't missing." Or when Clay used to go on those heaters, or when
Yeah.
LeBron has one of those crazy chase down blocks, or Kevin Durant just can't miss. That's
See, and I think that's part of it too. Like we're feeding into that at that point. You didn't mention nobody knew.
because nobody knew doing shit like that. I
Nah,
mean,
you gotta. So I just read
Ant
something.
has the mentality, and that's
He
why
definitely has a mentality. I
that's
love
who I'm
that shit.
hoping is like. That's who I'm
Yeah,
hoping is.
I
You
think
seen
that's
the?
why I root for him so much too.
Did you see
Don't
the
say the
clip? Because
Obama clip.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
fucking Obama clip. He's a savage. He said, "I'm
yeah,
cold."
yeah.
How you telling the
Um,
president? You got the Secret Service right there. Go ahead, cook your shit up.
I just read something literally about 10 minutes ago, and it was Jason Tatum not feeling appreciated. He was like, "If you take my name and my face off of player A, and you talk about the statistics and things he got accomplished,
He's
I
nasty.
think it'd be a whole nother story." I think I don't know. It's weird that we are where we are. I guess with the game because there's still
Well,
some great players and there's
let
a
me
lot of
ask you
talent out
this.
there.
Let me ask you this, because you're a semi Celtics fanish.
I'm like,
Um, come on, man. That's who you root for. I know you like the Magic, but
I do root for the Celtics. I've been to the games mad
yeah.
times.
How do you feel about Tatum?
I
I know
think
you
he's
have
a
your reservations about him.
I think he's a great player. I think he's a great player. I think that I love that he worked on his game.
Oh, you could tell.
You can tell, right? So he's young. I mean, my only problem with Tatum is the same thing I have with LeBron, which is
Settling.
settling and not taking over like I feel you can. And then he had a lot of turnovers because of the decisions he made, which were, in my opinion, horrible for someone of that caliber of a player. So I appreciate that he went and worked on his jump shot, changed his whole form. I appreciate that he's part of the leadership on that team that got them a championship. Um, I appreciate that he went to the U.S. team and didn't really get any burn. He just took it on the chin and was like, "All right, we'll see." Um, so I don't know if you thought I was gonna go somewhere with that, but at the end of the day, I think Jason Tatum's a top 10 talent in the league, and he's working on his game. Like uh, when it comes playoff time this year, I want to see how he plays because that's where I always worried about him the most was in that
Playoff
time.
time. Do you think that he's a victim of playing on one of the best rosters in the league, where he doesn't necessarily have to elevate guys around him?
I don't think that I think that's more about marketing, to be honest, and the way that the game is put. Like I'm gonna be honest, when I went to those games and shit, and then when I watch him, I feel like they're making him they want to force him to be the face, which is, I mean, you know, that's the decision. So I don't think that's it. I don't think that they're taking his great players around him is taken away from how good he is. I don't think so. I just feel like I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with you. I think it could be the moments that he fell short on his playoff runs up until last year. But even last year, it was so overshadowed by Jalen Brown's game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he
fair.
outplayed him.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're right to that degree, and I think there is some, pivotal moments that hurt, like losing to the Miami Heat. I know they were down 3-0, but they should have never been down 3-0 to that Heat team.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were the better team. Now, granted, Miami just looked like they wanted it more, but I feel like they were the better team, to be honest with you. And then
By
losing
far.
losing to Golden State in the finals, that
Yeah,
doesn't
they got
help either.
smoked by Golden State.
I mean, and part of that was coaching, but also part of that was players didn't hit shots. They just weren't. They looked like they were out prepared by Golden State. I mean, and Steph was Steph, but yeah, I think that's part of it. But I think that's part of the reason why we don't look at him as a player in that upper echelon of someone that would win an MVP. Part of it is because Boston was by far the best team in the league last year, and he was the best player on the team. So you think by that
Yeah.
logic, he should win MVP, but he didn't.
Nah, that MVP shit is a joke.
I mean, it is a joke. Oh, if it's the most valuable player, shouldn't it be the best player on the best team? Or see, that's how it's difficult because like, what's the criteria? Like, should it be the best player on the best team, or should it be the person that was most pivotal to their
I
team's
think most
success?
pivotal.
Because like, if you take
I
Jason Tatum off the Celtics, they're not the juggernaut that they were last year, but
correct.
they're still a playoff team. They're not hitting the play in, especially not in the East. They're a playoff team, probably a top 4 seed still.
No, I think it's the impact you're making on the team because people get stuck on shitty teams. who are super talented.
Like
Uh, Luca. Oh, Dallas was a good team last year.
finals.
Yeah, went to
How
the
about the
finals.
guy that plays for the team with the hat you're wearing? LaMelo Ball.
Hell no.
He's been
Yo,
cooking this
LaMelo
year.
Ball will never be an MVP. Did you see that
No, I'm
video
not
of
saying
LaMelo?
MVP. I'm not saying MVP, but great player on a bad team.
Okay. I, I don't know if he's a great player yet.
I'd say he's a great
I'd
player.
say he's a good player right now.
People were pissed that he didn't make the
Nah,
All-Star
bro. The
team.
All Stars, right? Yeah. Nah, yo, did you see that video where he got scared?
Yeah.
Yo, he'll never. Yo, he's all set, bro. That video.
That's an
I
honest
mean,
reaction.
yo, that that video to this day still makes me like fucking really laugh to the point where I'm almost in tears.
That was legit fright.
Yeah.
It was legit fright.
Yo,
He shit himself.
he legit screamed. He wound up his smack for some reason. He went like this and to smack the thing.
Cooked
Yo,
up.
yo, that shit was funny, bro. That was funny.
Cooked up.
But yeah,
You know somebody who I do thoroughly enjoy watching though. We talk about just getting buckets the hard way. Jalen Brunson.
oh yeah. Nah,
Jalen Brunson, bro.
I could watch Brunson play basketball all day, bro.
Nasty, bro. Nasty.
He's talented.
He
You
gets
know
to the
what's funny?
left. Good night.
I think you're one of the only ones who knows that I was a Brunson fan when he was in Dallas. I was
Yeah.
like, this kid's good, bro. Like,
Yo, no,
don't. Go
I
ahead.
just want to give you your flowers on that because even before, and people caught on when he had that massive outbreak in the playoffs when Luka was hurt. But even before then, it was like, yo, this kid from Villanova, he could
No,
ball.
he's good,
They
bro.
should
He
play
could
him more.
ball.
They should play him more. Now I remember. I just want to give you your flowers on that because you're right. It
I
was before
appreciate
that whole playoff flurry that he had that put him on the map.
Yeah, I can really like see at least the potential they have to be good or be great. And I bring that up because I went to a store recently and I met this kid. Well, I've never met before in my life. I'm aware of some of his accomplishments and some of what he brings to his team. But after the conversation, I'm like, that kid has tons of potential to do almost anything he wants. It's almost like our guy, my guy Nosh over there, right? Um, I remember interviewing him, and he was coming from Ben and Jerry's, bro. Right? In the interview, how, the interview wasn't like super professional, but his personality shined through it, and I'm like, all right, kid got a good personality. He's pretty smart, whatever. Long story short, within a year, probably half a year, I recognized his potential. And then once he committed to it, I was able to tap in and, get the most out of it.
Well, it's always so interesting because I don't think I know for sure not everybody has an eye like that. But it's kind of like things that go beyond just there's people that
Surface.
there's people that fit the job description or they meet it and they just kind of coast. And
Hmm.
then there's people that don't always meet it fully, but they got something special about them. Where it's like all I gotta do is get them to realize they got something. And
Hmm.
once they get to that point, it's takeoff. Maybe I shouldn't say takeoff because of all the shit that's been happening in aviation lately, but you know what I mean. It's green light.
Crazy.
It's green light. It's go time. I'm not bragging, but I think I was at a point like that too, where I came in, started when I was young. I was 18, literally the second, whatever that is. I think that's Sunday. It'll be 10 years. I'm
That's
28
wild.
now,
That's wild. A
but
decade.
and I didn't have any. I definitely didn't meet the job description. That's number one.
Oh, I know.
That's for sure.
I know.
But there's just sometimes you have like a special quality about you, and I think one of the biggest ones, something that I'm always looking for, And so people that are early in career or looking for a career change, going into an interview, one thing I'm always looking for in people is, do they have an innate curiosity, a willingness to learn and to seek out knowledge? Because you show me that, that's all we need.
Yeah,
That's all we need. You got the
yeah,
willingness, you got the will, we can help you build skills. That's easy.
yeah.
But you gotta want it. And so
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're a very similar way when you're looking for folks is, can they show me or display or bring up situations where they showed active curiosity to go and solve a problem. And it could be something super simple. It doesn't need to be this elaborate shit. No, I'm
Yeah,
sure if
yeah,
Nosh
yeah.
went up to you when he was working and he gave you a story when he was working at Ben and Jerry's, it was like, one of the ice cream machines went down and I didn't know shit about fixing it. But I reached out to a couple people. I went online, Googled the fucking serial number, the serial of the machine, did follow some instructions, found some shit. Took me a little while to troubleshoot it, but I got it working up and running again. And so we didn't have to close for the day. We was only down maybe for a couple of hours. I bet you would have been hella impressed by that.
Yeah. For
Because what
sure.
did he show? Active
Yeah,
curiosity, problem solving.
yeah.
That's every job, bro. Sports or not. Right? We talk about Jordan having to figure out the Pistons. He had to actively go ahead, work on his game, but also get in the weight room. What did he put on? Like 20 pounds or some shit like that between seasons to get ready for the Pistons? That's what we're talking about. Now, I'm not saying you got to go crazy in the gym and put on 20 pounds to get that HR position, but
Coming to HR jacked up.
jacked up. That might turn them away, but
Yeah.
yeah, man. That's
No,
dope.
that's a great point. I mean, we talked about it last show. Where that's the beauty of life is just being able to continue and grow and learn. I was actually, you know what? So I took my daughter to work today, but I had a call. Um, and so it was playing through the car, and it was about growth and just continuing to learn and don't be complacent and stagnant. Kind of what we talked about last week. He said something like, "What happens to a tree when it starts growing? It dies and withers out."
I'm curious because I know you bring Nob to work a lot. And I know you have conversations with her all the time. But when you hear, well, like when you're in the car and you hear things like what you heard, and obviously she might not be paying attention, but she probably heard it. That's a very powerful message. Now it might be lost on somebody she's 17, 16,
Yeah,
18, 17. Like I mean, if I was 17 and I heard that, I'd be like, well, I'm not old, so I'm good. I'm good. I'm still growing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm curious as to, like, do you ever have conversations like that about, just proactive growth and not waiting for things just to come to you?
Absolutely, all the time. And in moments like that, so to be honest, it was when she kind of first got in the car, so she had her headphones on, teenager shit. So I don't even think she heard it, but I was excited when I heard it. So I'm kind of like, "Oh, that was good." In those moments, I would explain it to her. I'll ask her. It's almost like what I do with anything. I'm like, "No, did you hear what he said?" And then she said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Dude, what does that mean to you?" I'll try to get some understanding. Then I'll tell her like, "Oh, this is what I took away from it, and this is what it sounds like he meant." And I always have conversations with her about being proactive with things, and especially with the learning part. Whether she does it or not, I don't force her to do things though. You know what I mean? I try not to, but like, you need to do this, you need to do that. I mean, sometimes I do because I gotta get on her if she's not doing specific things. Um, and her mom's really good with that, with making sure she's being held accountable and all that. So, but with the learning thing, because I enjoy the learning process so much now, I try to share that with her. Even like I said, I shared the whole story about me trying to be a better person, which I got a funny ass story about that. I'll tell you in a second. Because I enjoy learning so much, I try to spread that and share that with her, right? Well, she's a teenager, and I was a teenager at that time. I remember I didn't want to hear that shit. Like I'm tired of learning, I'm tired of fucking being in school and shit, right? But I know that it'll resonate with her and it will sit with her once the time is right. So I just keep being the father and do my due diligence as a dad and just keep talking about how fun it is to learn about fucking pomodoros and shit like that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So back to the story, right? About so you know how we talked about the receipt, and if someone threw the receipt at me,
Yeah.
I'd have to show restraint, right? So check this shit out. So you know, Stop and Shop's right around the corner from me,
Yep.
and so I'm going to Stop and Shop. I knew what I was getting. I was getting like 5 things, right? Just a handful of things, and it was cold, and I was rushing because it was getting towards the later time, and I didn't want to be like keeping everybody there when it closes. So I rushed in. I got my basket because I forgot my bag. I usually got a bag that I bring in to just put the groceries in because I usually use the gun and just scan, and so it's quicker, right? But I was such a rush, I forgot. So I just grabbed the basket. I check out. I'm not paying for a bag. I got bags, so I put it in the basket. When I got to my car, I was like, "Fuck it," and I didn't even realize it really because I do it often. Whereas I just throw the basket in the trunk and go home, and I'll bring the basket back when I come back because it's right around the corner. And I do this. I don't say I do it all the time, but I do it often when I forget my bag. For whatever reason, some guy must have been watching me from the moment I walked out the store to the moment I was getting in my car. Cause he was like, all of a sudden I hear, "You're the reason." I'm like, huh? What's going on? I don't even know. He's like, "You're the reason. Just so you know, if I go in there and I can't find a basket, you're the reason." And he's like screaming, right? And I'm thinking to myself, should I respond how I normally respond, or is this God putting me to the test of what I've been speaking about? 'Cause I can't just speak about it; I got to be about it. So I said, "You know what, sir? When I grabbed this basket, there was plenty left. I'm sure you'll find one." And he's like, "No." I'm talking about like his face was getting all red and angry. Like you would have thought I stole something from him. Which, mind you, I didn't steal because I ended up returning the basket the next day. But it's funny because I still have those petty thoughts. So as I'm driving away, I'm like, this guy was really yelling at me. Did I handle that the right way? And I said, yeah, I did because I talked about having more restraint. But I swear, bro, it took everything in my power to not stop, take the groceries out, go back and put that basket right on his car, and just leave it for when he got out. that's, that's all. That's all I wanted to do for 2 days. Like, just leave it on his vehicle. But I didn't. I took the high road, and I feel good about that.
You should have been like, man, how miserable is your life? It's 9:30 in the evening. You're at Stop and Shop, and you're yelling at me about a basket.
Yeah,
Like, where's your reusable shopping bag?
yeah. I should have gave him mine. Like, here you go. You can have this
There you
for
go
life.
for your troubles.
Yeah.
Well, good man. Listen, look at you living what you speak. That's good on you for implementing that because you know what? I'd have been like, what's your problem? He didn't even work there.
No, he didn't work
You
there,
don't
bro.
work there. You don't even
Yo,
work it.
this guy was so upset, bro. If I could put it in context, I can't think of any time I was around you and someone was you know what? He reminded me of what's the coach? I can't think of the coach that chokes everybody and threw the chair from Indiana.
Phil Knight? Not Phil Knight.
Yeah,
Bobby
Knight. Yeah, Bob Knight. Yo, that's who he reminded me. Like he's gonna throw a basket at me or something. Like, yo, calm the fuck down, bro.
That's crazy. You should have hit him with your car.
But I live so sometimes in those moments, right? Because we talked about how we can handle it and who's in front of you and how they might expect you to handle it and shit like that. And I think normally someone might be like, "Oh, someone immature probably would be like, "Oh, you got punked." Well, I didn't get punked. Trust me, I didn't get punked.
That's the mentality, bro.
I know. I know
That's
what
the
you was talking about when you was. Yeah, I know. I felt great. I felt great about it. I felt like I I won.
Well, I think that's you did win. You did win. That's what I'm saying. You did win. Like, I don't think people understand because now you respond, you get angry. Being angry is not consuming your time. Now you're letting you're letting that guy win at that point. Like people don't realize that. I forgot someone said it. It was like if you had $120 and someone took $1, would you throw the rest of the 119 away? No, you wouldn't do that, right? Because you still got 119. That's like with time in your day, right? You got
Yeah.
1 hour is bad. You're gonna throw the other 23 away. You ain't gonna do
Yeah,
that. And it's never an
yeah.
hour that's usually bad. It's usually like a couple seconds or a minute. You're gonna throw the rest of them in the day away. You ain't gonna do that. But when
Yeah.
you get upset, that's what you're pretty much doing because now you're thinking about it more than just in that moment. You're like, damn, I'm pissed. Damn, I'm pissed. Damn, I'm pissed. And then if you're going home and if you got your girl's there, your husband's there, your kids are there, they're gonna tell you're not in a good mood. And if you're like most people, right? Because it happens, you bring that shit wherever you
The
go.
energy. Yeah.
You bring that energy, right?
Yeah.
It's just not so you won. But that mentality gotta change, bro. Like put your pride aside, man. Who gives a shit? You probably never gonna see that guy again, so what does it even matter?
Yo, I honestly hope I do. I won't even recognize him. I would not even recognize him. I promise you, because
You're gonna recognize him.
that's
You're
how
gonna
much he
recognize him.
didn't really phase me.
There you go.
I just remember he was turning red and just screaming. I'm talking about screaming, bro. I can't put it. I was just like, I was baffled behind it. That's why I
There
was
you
like,
go.
should I turn around? I think I should. I think that would be a great for him to come back and just see the basket waiting for him. But I
He's the
left it
one.
at that. It kept it moving.
He's the one who lost, though. You think about it. He's the one who lost because now he's the one that was upset. You see, that's what I'm saying. Like you good. You don't want you keep it. You're
Yeah,
maintaining your peace, and I
yeah,
think it's sad because it takes us so many of us so long to realize that. Like, just what's more important, being quote unquote right or doing what's right and maintaining your peace. I'm gonna leave
yeah.
it alone and just maintaining your peace. And it
Wow,
takes a lot
that's
of
how.
us until we get older. And then, and you were talking about when you was talking about, having conversations with Nove, like I'm just thinking about like because my dad used to say this to me, and as I'm a parent, my kids grow. It's like, man, like I hope my kids listen to their dad and they don't make a lot of the mistakes that I made for the sake of making the mistake or for the sake of pride, and just
Yeah,
are able to humble themselves and just say, you know what, all right, dad, I'm going to try your way because you have the experience. So they can save themselves the heartache and the
yeah,
pain.
yeah,
Like, and my dad says that all the time. Like, I hope you don't make the same mistakes I do. What's the point? I already made them. I'm telling you, there's a pothole there. Why are you gonna go
yeah,
ahead and
yeah,
drive? I'm telling you, there's
yeah, yeah,
construction on that. There's construction there. I'm telling you, there's
yeah.
construction there. Why are you gonna go that way if you try to get somewhere fast?
Yeah.
But yet you
I
chose,
love that metaphor. I'm gonna use that with no.
like. But again, I mean, we all. I mean, I've done things when my parents have been like, "You probably should do it this way." I'm like, nah, you guys
Yeah,
just
because
didn't
something
know.
you still gotta learn. You gotta learn for yourself, and we make those dumb mistakes, and that's. I think that attributes to what you do in the future, whereas that now becomes that lesson that we talked about for that L, where it's like, all right, I didn't listen to my dad because I felt like I can possibly get to it or get through it or whatever the actual occasion is, and then you're like, nope, dad was right. So next time he says something, I'll make sure I
You
take his
hope,
advice.
you hope you do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, that's the shitty part. Like, there didn't have to even be an L at all, or
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least
yeah. You
or the L was you having to eat your own pride, which is actually a W because that's something that you should be. We all got to practice doing, but we view that as the L because we're like, nah, if I take his way, then we feel like, oh, it proves that they're smarter than us. Well, hell yeah, they're fucking smarter than you. They got more experience than you.
yeah.
I bet you some of the smartest and wisest people have the least amount of formal education because they got life
Yeah.
experience. They got life experience. Some of the most successful people I know have they didn't go to college.
Hmm.
They got their GEDs. Like Why? Because they had to go through all them hardships, and now they want to pass that wisdom on to be like,
Yeah,
yo, don't do it this way.
yeah.
Do not do it this way.
And the all right, so it's like this too, right? I'm thinking about people so like Cat Williams. He's very intelligent. He read countless amount of books, right? Kudos to him. I'm not. That's great, but I'm sure he and most people would rather live that experience of whatever that book may have because you're getting more out of it, right? So, and think about where the book comes from. The book usually comes from somebody's experience. They just wrote it down. You know what I mean? So you're living within that person's time frame if it's like a history book or something like that. But um, yeah, that you know, and I'm not a book reader like we talked about, even though I'm getting through some of these chapters with Audible. But yeah, at the end of the day, we just gotta be better, man. Be
But I
kind.
don't,
Remember
but I
my
don't.
corny quote?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I don't. That's how bad it was. But it was not impactful. I just think like because you said some people, they're gonna get more of it if they experience it themselves, and I get it. But it's not like it's a positive experience. It's like, man, they said not to do drugs, but I really want to experience it myself to make sure that they're really bad. They're
Why you
not that
gotta always?
addictive.
You always gotta go to the most extreme.
No, but I mean, yeah,
I'm
because you
thinking
want
like
you.
taking a voyage and ravaging a
mm,
village as a Viking of some sort.
What I feel like that's more extreme. But anyways, you want it to hit home. That's why you go to the extremes.
No,
But
I
it's
get it.
like it just and I'm not listen. I fell victim to it. I've done things my own way when I definitely 100% shouldn't have, and it's resulted in 2 children. But I'm just kidding.
This guy is a fool. Wow. That
Man,
was
I love
probably
my
one of your
kids.
better jokes that you've had in quite some time too. That was a
I love my
compliment. You
children.
could do the claps.
I love my children. Um, that's crazy. Come on, I'd be heartbroken if I heard my dad say that. To be honest with you.
No, I'm laughing, but the crazy thing is that one of my parents actually told me that.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I didn't experience that, but I'll take your word for that. That's terrible. You see, don't have to experience it to get the value out of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know where I was at before. It's just
Oh,
when people are just trying to pass wisdom, and it's one of the hardest things to do in life is just to humble yourself and just be like, you know
yeah.
what, like it's game,
Damn.
it's free game at that point, and so yeah, I mean,
Yo, you ever watch Goodwill Hunting?
no,
All right. I think I gotta start giving you some homework
come on, man, I'm not
because it's
trying to
not
watch
like
movies from the '70s, man.
first off, it's not from the '70s. That's first and foremost. Second of all, I feel like Nona watches movies. I know she watches shows.
She watches movies, bro. She's probably watching one right now.
Is it a Filipino one though?
Nah, she watches. She last night she was watching like Taken 3. She watched Spider Man with E-Man the other day. She watched some
All right.
other
If she's watching
movies.
Taken 3, I gotta talk to her. She's wild. Taken
She
3
watches
is Taken
anything.
1, just with 3 in the title. They're all the same. But anyways,
She watches movies
good
every night.
bro. Listen, watch Goodwill Hunting, please. If there's one thing you could do that for me. And one, you'll enjoy the movie. I think Nona would enjoy the movie. I don't want to give away everything. It's a classic. Robin Williams is in it. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Um, but Matt Damon is super smart, very intelligent, and he gets a lot of his knowledge from the books. And there comes a scene when he's arguing with Robin Williams, and he's like, "You think you fucking know everything because you read it in a book? You don't know love. You didn't experience love. Like you can read about it in a book, but until you experience it, you know how it feels to be heartbroken or see your loved one passing away in front of your eyes. You don't know what that feels like. You're just reading about it. So I don't want to hear like it was
Mm,
just watch that shit, bro. And I've thought
mm.
about it because we're talking about the experiences and the books and shit.
Yeah,
So
no, that's topical. And I think you're right. Like I had this conversation. It comes up a lot, and whenever we talk about like, because I FaceTime my family every night. Usually everybody hops on me, my brothers, my parents, and we talk. And for whatever reason, obviously parenting comes up, even though I'm the only parent. Well, obviously my parents are parents, but my brothers don't have kids. So I'm the only
Mhm.
parent. And, whenever you start talking about the kids, and, my dad will bring up, it's a love you can't explain. It's impossible to ever understand unless you've experienced it. And so, my brother was when they'll argue, like, oh, that's not true. And I'm like, guys, as much as I love to argue, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's just there's just certain things I agree that to truly get it, the only way to do it is experience. And there's just certain things that you probably don't want to get in life. Like you probably don't want to get what it's like to be addicted to meth. I mean, I know I don't, right?
Yeah.
So don't experience it. Right? Like that you see what the outcome is. So
Well, I'm sure there's someone that experienced it and didn't get addicted.
Sure. But you know what that leads to? Like, I didn't. I'm not even craving it. I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna do it again.
No,
Hell yeah, bro. That's how shit starts. You don't get hooked by just smoking one cigarette. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Or
Yeah, I
like,
know what you
man,
mean.
this meth makes me feel like I can run through a wall. I feel great. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
I'm not even itchy.
I'm not even itchy. Yo, remember the protein shit and all
the pre-workout?
pre-workout? Wow. That was different.
Yo, the pre-workout used to have me live, son. No lie. But if you don't work out like 15 minutes after taking it, you're fried.
Done.
It feels
do you take pre-workout before your Peloton?
No, I don't. I don't even know if my body can handle pre-workout anymore right now at my advanced age. To be honest with you, bro. Yeah, man. I mean, we talked about it though. Intentional discomfort.
Yeah.
That's how you grow. And like you said, when does a tree die? When it stops growing. I almost said unfortunately. I can't die yet. So I got kids I gotta take care of. So
yeah. That's another thing too, was like, damn. Seeing like all the kids, I was like, damn, I want another kid.
Do it.
Do it.
Be like Shannon Sharp. Say you're gonna go put meat on someone tonight.
No, I'll go to bed.
Cut it out. You just woke up from a nap.
Yeah, but my sleep patterns is different.
Just
I can wake up from a nap and go right back to bed.
Pop one of them rhino pills, bro. You be good.
What's a rhino pill?
Should get you right.
A rhino pill? Yo, what have you been doing?
Well, I don't need them. I'm not there yet. But I'm sure there'll be one day.
What does the rhino pill do?
It helps with your testosterone.
I got plenty of testosterone.
Why are you so sleepy then? That's part of it. That could be part of it.
I got too much?
Nah, you don't have enough.
Enough for I got enough.
All right, guy. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just saying.
No. Well, you brought this damn rhino pill nonchalantly. I don't even know what the fuck it is. You're like, yeah. All you've been talking about is with all the shit you've been talking about on this show. For all I know, that could be meth. It's like, that's what you're calling
it. It's like a Viagra, bro.
Yeah, try this rhino pill.
It's like a Viagra pill.
I don't need Viagra. Fucking young. I'm in my prime.
I know, man.
I'm wasting my prime time. I'm wasting my prime time. I'm like Dion with the curls.
Yo, you should.
I thought about that.
Curls.
I thought about like what he said. Yo, that shit is so tough, bro. When he's like, I'm not interview. He's like, why would I interview you? I'm not gonna be around for your pick. That is a tough line.
Talk about the ultimate confidence in yourself, huh?
That's a tough line.
Imagine if that happens the other way, but it didn't.
Yo, this is who I wanted to shout out. I saw when I was in the park, I ran to John. He was there with his son, and I know he takes him to like a lot of UConn games and stuff like that because he's an alumni. And John loves basketball. And it's like, yo, I'm gonna come watch you play soon. He's like, yeah, maybe. I was like, nah, we'll definitely make sure so I can watch his son play. But it was good to see that, you know what I mean? It was like, I haven't seen John in quite some time, so to see him out there and see him with his son enjoying sports and just the love for the game was, that alone was like, all right, that was dope.
You know what? It must be a surreal feeling, and I'm not at that point yet. But just like people you grew up with and have these core memories with, you seeing them now like becoming like you guys are all parents, and like your kids are going through things that you all went through, and I'm just like you having conversations like, yo, man, I can't believe they're gonna do the same shit we did, or hoping they don't do the same shit we did, and it must be a surreal feeling.
It is.
It's like
It is.
looking back in time, but now it's your own kid instead of it being you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit must be crazy, bro. I can't even imagine.
And it's funny because, like, Nove don't do too much. Like, she doesn't do too much that I did, thank God. But some things, like, when she's like, I'm not feeling good. I'm like, no, I'm done. I don't think so. I did that. No, let's go. Go to school.
Yo,
And it's funny because they think like they're smarter than you. I remember I used to think like that. Like I'm like, you know what I mean? I could get away with this. I could do this. And meanwhile, the whole time my mom's like, I already knew what you was up to. Like, cut it out.
Yeah, you have this whole elaborate master plan. But it's yeah, you forgot that your door was open and you were talking to yourself out loud, and I heard everything you said. Like, what are you talking about?
I think the best plan was maybe I should. Nah, he'll never be on the pod. So my boy Matt, he's like, come on. He's like, I ain't trying to go to school. He's like, I was like, shit, I ain't trying to go to school either. So he's like, just come to my crib. My mom left for work. And I remember he's like, yo, I just got some chicken. So he was gonna make chicken. So I go to his crib. He lived like a block away. All of a sudden, we hear the car pull up, and it was his mom. So we ran, right? We ran, and we ran like 2 blocks down. And then next thing you know, we see his mom drive past us. She's seen us, right? So we had to innovate because we wasn't going to school. So we ended up walking a little bit, and we see mad people outside. I'm like, what are they doing? And it was a soup kitchen. So they was lined up for the soup kitchen. It was around November. We was like, fuck you, because we didn't get to eat the chicken, so we went into the soup kitchen, bro. Yo, I am not gonna lie, bro. It was top 5 Thanksgiving meals I had. Like, it was fire. I got second.
I went to the soup kitchen and got second.
Yo, it was fire. Yo, the turkey and gravy with the mashed potatoes. Oh man.
Yo, that is top tier.
Now to be
debauchery.
To be fair, I was I was living in poverty at the time, so I felt like I didn't feel like I was I didn't feel like I was overstepping my boundaries. But yeah, so we ended up eating and then leaving. Yeah.
Nah, I never had nothing exquisite like that. But I will say it's funny because like now, E-Man's getting to that age where he tries to do things like if it's something that he doesn't like for dinner, he's like, oh, I'm not hungry. Right, but I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. Mm-hmm. All right, that's cool. You're not hungry. All right, that's fine. And then I'll go and get something I know he likes.
Yeah.
Like if we have chips, I'll be like, I don't even want the chips either. Like I won't even want it. But I'll be like, wow, look at these chips. And I see him like looking at the corner of his eye because he's like,
yeah, he's scheming.
Right.
How do I tell him I'm hungry now?
Right. And I'm like, man, I don't think I could eat this, man. If only somebody was hungry. And then he starts laughing. He's like, I'm like, wow. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to put it away, eat it later. I'm like, if only somebody was hungry. He's just go ahead doing his thing. And I'm like, oh, and then I'll go like, hey, I ask my wife, like, hey, babe, you want this before I put it away? No. And I'm like, Ezekiel, I'm like, hey, Ezekiel, you want this? You want this, buddy? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, I guess no one wants it. He always stuff like he be like this, not trying to make eye contact with me.
That is hilarious.
And I'm like, oh, you want it? He's like, yeah. I was like, but I thought you weren't hungry. He's like, I'm a little hungry. I'm like, perfect. Right there. Like, look at that. I'm like, and if you're still hungry when you're done, this is what's waiting for you. But he doesn't. But the thing is, he don't understand the luxury that he has. Just like I didn't understand the luxury that I had. And
Yeah.
it's not like my parents weren't super well off or anything, but we were in a better situation that they were when they were
Yeah.
my age growing up. And so like what my parents used to do to me when I didn't want to eat my food, they'd be like, you can either eat or you could go take a shower and go to sleep. Those are the options. That was it. And then if you
Mm.
chose that second option, whenever you woke up to come and eat, guess what was waiting for you? At a plate.
Yeah.
It was waiting for you right there on the dining
Yeah.
room table. And if they found out you ate something else, look, you're
You're
fried.
all set. Yeah, you're
You're
all set.
fried. You ain't getting away from that plate until you finish eating. And
See,
so,
it
like,
is. That's I love that in the sense of your stories and your perspectives because you know, I really didn't have that shit, bro. Like dead ass, I went through it for being hungry, bro. And a lot of times that's why I didn't mind, like, because my mom would drop me off at my cousins or my boys for like a week, sometimes, like sometimes more. But I wouldn't mind because I know I'm getting a good meal there. You know what I mean? Like eh, I think my great aunt knew this. God rest her soul. My great aunt Fina, but every Friday, bro, she would throw down. She make fish and all that shit. I remember we go out and play in the yard and shit, and she'd always make us a good ass sandwich. I'm talking about like good, the lettuce, the chips on the side, like.
damn.
And it sounds. Now that I look back at it, it's kind of like, damn, that's one of them. That was one of the moments, like memories that I cherish. Is a nice plate of food because I didn't have that luxury growing
Right.
up. Um, so to hear it, like how yours is a little bit different, and rightfully so. Like they were just trying to teach you, like, be grateful for what you got, type of thing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's why, like, every time we get back together, especially around Thanksgiving, it's an emotional holiday for my family
Mm-hmm.
because, now we have four generations because my grandmother is still around. And then obviously she has great grandkids. My kids are the great grandkids. So
Yep.
there's four generations. And with each generation, God's blessings just continue to, overflow. But, you know, each generation has started off. It's almost like the Monopoly game analogy that we gave. Like each generation is getting to that starting point earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier. And it's just, I know my parents get really emotional. My grandmother does because they know what it's like to literally have nothing.
Yeah.
And but they also know that their kids and grandkids know they have no clue what that's like. And they'll
Mm-hmm.
never know what that's like. And I mean, I know for you, that must be such an awesome feeling that Nova's never gonna know what that's like. And your grandchild's never gonna know what that's like. But because you broke a cycle. And so
Yeah.
now, like you see, oh man, people can get nice things. They're doing these things, and it's just like, so holidays are a joyous time, but it's also a time we take to kind of remember and be like, this is where it all started. But you don't lose those lessons because, like you said, sometimes you do experience things. Going through struggles builds this character, and just because if you have people who are willing to be humble and be honest about the mistakes they made and the lessons they learned from those things, right? Lessons, not losses, you got people that are willing to give that knowledge. I didn't have to go without knowing if I was going to be able to eat or have a roof over my head to take away the positives from that, to take away the drive that you gain from that, to never be in that situation. Because I had people before me that did it and they passed that on. But they didn't just pass on what it felt like. They passed on they were able to humble themselves to say, this is how I contributed to putting that myself in that spot. Because it just happened to me. I made mistakes that led me to being in those spots. And so when you got a mix of humility, experience, that's where wisdom comes in. And then now
No,
I don't
for real.
gotta wait to experience that myself to be like, oh wow. Now sometimes I'm dumb, right? And so I'm like, oh, I'll figure that shit out on my own. But I don't have to figure it out on my own. And so it's dope whenever we get to come together. Holidays are so, but especially Thanksgiving, because I mean it's in the word. You're just
Yeah.
giving thanks for what you have, where you
Yeah.
can kind of see everything come full circle. Like you said, he could be joking about not eating his food and be like, right, laughing and making it kind of a game, but there's a lesson in it. Like he understands he got to eat
Yeah.
his dinner and he ain't getting away from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it wasn't as extreme as you better eat that. You're not eating anything else. And my parents was like, their parents like, you don't want to eat, then you guess what? You're gonna go hungry. That just is
Yeah,
what it is. Because there is
yeah,
no
yeah,
other option. There is
yeah,
nothing else. There is no snack for me to pull out the drawer so you can laugh about to get you to encourage you to eat your food. It's like you just gonna be hungry, B. That's just what it
yeah,
is. So yeah, man. I mean, it's humbling. Looking back, you think about it. Can't forget what you've come from. Um, Not just you, but your whole bloodline.
like the lineage. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, keep it. That's why it's important. I think we talk about like don't forget about history is important. You can't, like we said, you can't be great if you don't understand the history behind things.
yeah, yeah. We talk about.
Like that's gonna speak for it. What did you
Yeah,
come from? You know what I mean? I know you talk about your dad being an immigrant. And he had it really rough growing up. You know what I mean? And you didn't
yeah,
have your dad, and look what you was able to come and accomplish. But how much more can you appreciate it now that you know the whole story? As you look back and be like, you know what, damn. To other people,
exactly.
it might not seem like a whole lot, but damn, man, like they don't know all this shit that came even before you was born. What happened that led to you
Yeah,
being born? All shit you got to go through. So
yeah.
it's
You know
crazy,
what's
man.
funny though is because I was watching all these older westerns and shit. You know, a lot of people who was able to pass down their land or their property to their children or grandchildren, et cetera, down the line, right? Like the specific one. Like those people went through it, like the originals, like
Right,
to go find that land and then you know purchase that land for what they could. It wasn't like it wasn't an easy thing to do. Like going through, at least from the show that I watched, it wasn't. So like for example, right, like to get to the like to travel that trail was fucking treacherous. Like there's a good
right,
chance you're not gonna make it. Like a really good chance you're probably gonna die. And then once they got there, they obviously settled down and was able to pass their land down and shit like that. But it made me think like, damn, what if my dad or whoever, right, if they weren't in Vietnam and they were in the States and they found property and then eventually it went down the line, how things could have been different. Now, do I wish that? No, because I think that my life is what it is because of everything I've gone through, like we talked about, and it is what it is. But just to even have that thought was like it was pretty like I'd be pretty dope if that had happened, right?
right. But I think it's I'm almost I've thought about this because my kids aren't gonna have the going to where dad grew up, right? All the time. Like see where dad grew up and the house I grew up in and all that stuff. And it's a decent house. I mean, you've been there. That's the house I grew up in. But they're not gonna have those experiences because we live so far away. But I'm like, man, if my parents would ever sell that, should I just keep it? Should I buy it as just as a lesson to be like, should I eventually take them back to where my dad grew up? To be like,
Mm.
this is where and should I try to learn more about my Puerto Rican heritage? Like this is where it started. Because it's modest beginnings. Very,
Yeah,
very, very modest beginnings. Be like, listen, just because you're generations removed from this is where it started. Without this, there is no you.
yeah, yeah,
Again,
yeah,
you got to understand that. So it doesn't matter just because you're so far removed from it. This is where you came from. Don't be ashamed of it, and don't go back to it. But understand, like let stuff like this keep you grounded, not to get too high, not to get too low. Like this is where it started. Because once you lose sight of it, because like you said, you go far back enough in anybody's lineage, there's gonna be someone who had to get it out the mud. Someone
yeah,
had to
yeah,
do it. And
yeah,
hopefully it's only one generation that had to do it. And that is just able to perpetuate and grow and build and build and build and build and build. So no one has to go back to square one and get it out the mud again. But when you
yeah,
become so far away from it, someone's just gonna throw it all away because it doesn't have the value to them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because they don't know what it was like to do it. And as long
Damn,
as
bro.
those lessons were passed down and passed down, you got to tap in and just see it. Like when I went to the Philippines, but I opened my eyes so much. Like these people are so happy
Hmm.
and they don't even have a tenth of what we have. And we
Yep,
bitch and complain about everything. These people living in
yep,
shacks and
yeah,
they're so grateful for what they have. Like that
yeah,
humbled me. Like I want to keep bringing my kids back to be like, listen, look how these people live compared to what you have. What reason do you have to complain about anything when these people
Yeah.
could be happy with what they have and they got all the
Mhm.
problems in the world? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that was one of my biggest takeaways from DR was just the level of happiness and enjoying of life with so little, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get what you're saying from that perspective. That's fire. And you just made me think of something with you get to a point where someone might not know the value. That makes me look at Yellowstone even I don't know how it makes
Just
me look
become a
at that.
cowboy, man. Just become a
Yo,
cowboy at this
no,
point.
because the land, bro. He did not want to sell the land. He did
Right.
not want to get rid of his land. It was just his great grandfather was buried there. The whole thing. So I I won't tell you the
Mm.
end in case you ever watch it, but it makes looking at the perspective you just put in place makes me appreciate it even more because I kind of lost sight of that, which is the whole. At some point they lose the value of what that land means to that family and that
Right.
name.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so that was pretty dope that you brought that up.
No, I love that you tied it to that because I think that's something, even that you see it in a TV show, and I'm sure the show's popular. I mean, it must be for you and other people because you keep bringing it up. But like, there's things that you can't put a monetary value on. And the moment you try to put a monetary value on, the true value starts to go away because
Hmm.
it's not just in the dollars. It's in the fact that if that opens somebody's eyes or turns on a light, helps them turn on a light bulb for something, that just unlocks something in them. Like
Yeah.
I've said it on the show before. What's my drive? It, my drive is the fact that I have no reason to not be successful. I
Hmm.
don't. People before me laid the groundwork, provided the blueprint. So now that's my drive, man. That's my drive. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to do the same for my children. And so,
Yeah.
like, when you can see those things and be like, wow, I get it. Like, get why great grandpa, it makes sense to me now. Like, why they fought so hard for this,
Mhm.
what they had to do to to hold on to it.
Yeah.
And, all the offers that they probably got for the land, which you think at the time would have been like, man, like, it would have been set generations up. But it's like, then are you gonna appreciate the value once you put dollars to it? Because you said in the DR, you saw people just be so happy. It's almost like money doesn't equate to happiness.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Money doesn't equate to success
Hmm.
at all. That's the way we view it. We put, especially in this country, we put a lot of focus on it because like the more money you have, it's a status thing. You think the easier you can live life, but really, the more money you have, the more bills you got
More
because
money,
you
more
keep on trying to
problems.
more money, more problems. I don't know if there's anything true that's been said. I mean, look at the people who live in, like you said, DR, Philippines. They ain't got much, but look at them. Why they
Yeah.
always laughing,
Yeah.
smiling?
Exactly.
Suicide rates are low. They live long. I mean, except for the people that are caught up in, what I'm talking about.
Yo, you love
You
bringing
got
that up.
you got generations living under the same roof, 90 years old.
Yeah.
Why? Because they got
Yeah.
love, man. They got love and they understand. And generations, they got respect for each other. They understand what that does. They understand what those calluses on the hands mean. It's not
Mm.
just it's not nothing fancy because you know what? They pass down traditions, stuff like that. So
No,
it's
that's
big
tough.
time, man. It's major. It's
Yeah.
major.
Damn. That makes me want to get off this show. Go work. Go put up a fence in my yard or something.
So you can show your dad. I mean, not your dad, your daughter.
Hmm.
Look at what I did for you. Look what
Yeah.
I did for you.
For Scooby, I built you a fence, brother.
Yeah, man. That's just my hope for every parent that your kids, regardless of your relationship, see the sacrifice that you made.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, if you were there, obviously in their lives, but like because I can't imagine, or like, there's people that don't have relationship with their children, even though they provided for them their entire lives. You have no relationship with your kids. I can't even imagine what that's like. You know what I mean? So I hope for every parent that you could reconnect and they can see uh sacrifices that you made.
Hmm.
Regardless if you were a good parent, bad parent, you make mistakes, whatever. Like, you know,
No,
it
so I
keeps you
think
grounded.
I think too. I think we'll end it with this: is like for anybody out there who might be a parent and just for whatever reason you don't have that relationship with your child or your children. I would say it's never too late. Coming from someone who didn't have that, I didn't never feel like it was too late to rekindle or have a bond with my father. Um, you know, it's you brought up a great point, which we talked about before. Is like we don't know their circumstances or what they have gone through, um, and they don't know yours if you've ever been in their life,
Mm,
right? And it goes back to that pride thing where like you're some people might feel too embarrassed to reach out. Some people might feel like ashamed. Some people might feel like maybe my child won't want to talk to me. And if they don't, that don't mean that they don't want to forever. It could be in that moment, um, because of how they feel. But don't give up. I think that you know, if you're blessed enough to be a parent for a child and you've made maybe decisions that weren't beneficial to you or the child, take that leap of faith and just reach out for
mm.
those who are listening. Because you just don't know what you'll get out of it until you try at least.
Wow. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. I mean, that's what Quan does. There's a reason they call him the infamous one.
Yeah. Yo, so I've been posting like quotes because I got the Bible app and it
I
gives me a
seen
quote
that.
every day.
I was gonna be like,
And
what is this guy doing, man?
no, I just want to share the word. That's all.
Nah, it's
Maybe it
dope,
takes
bro.
my word that resonates with someone for that day. I'm not claiming to be the highest, right, or the most righteous. I feel like I'd be wrong if I was getting this piece of knowledge and faith and don't spread it if I can. So
Nah,
that's why I've
bro.
been doing it. And it's funny because
Love it.
we talked about the meals, right? And I kid you not, I don't always pray before I eat, and I don't always say thank you before I eat. I'll be honest. But today I made chicken fajitas, and they look so good when I was finished. But I had to. I was thankful that I could prepare a meal and have the opportunity to even just have a decent meal. You know what I mean? Because even in that moment, I was reflecting without realizing it. Like I didn't always get to be able to do it. So
Right. It's
the fact that I
overwhelming
can,
sometimes, man.
yeah, exactly.
It's
But yeah,
overwhelming. Yo, I love no. I was messing, man. Keep doing it because you know what? Sometimes those words, they just y- they always come at the right time. It's always timely. It's always relevant. That's why I got hanging in my house, and it's numbers 23:19. I won't read it. You can go read it and be blessed on yourself. But words of encouragement is what you need. And we talked about like surrounding yourself with things like that. And every time I come into my office, I look at that as a reminder that man, everything that we have is a blessing. You know what I mean?
I thought you just as a reminder that I'm not I'm not locked up in my
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in the
That too.
actual office.
Yeah,
But
that too.
nah, you're right, man. Just surrounding yourself around positive things, you're kind of manifesting that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
but I
Gets you through
appreciate you,
difficult times.
and that's another reason why again I do get excited to do the show, even when I'm tired. Like when I talked to you tonight, like I told you, like I was really going through it, uh, sleep
I
wise.
know. And I got pissed.
No, I
I
didn't
mean,
get pissed, but the show re-energizes me, rejuvenates me because we always talk about something that's relevant in our space and what we need. So I appreciate you for that, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Like, comment, share, hit subscribe. You forgot to do it again. But as always, think critically, speak infamously. We out.
we out.